Yo, me and Killer used to play bloody wager matches on Fortnite, bro. We used to duo queue and just play for like $5 or $10, and oh, it was so funny. Anyway, moving on. Right, I appreciate being in the stream. Some of you might have seen that I put a trade in recently, and obviously did it stop loss. I'm going to talk you through why I did the trade and why we hit stop loss, and my kind of thoughts going into this week. So I put this setup late last week. I posted this on Twitter. Let me just double check. Let me just double check when I posted this. It was on the 15th. So yeah, I think Saturday. Saturday when I first posted it. Yeah, Saturday. Okay. So it was here. It was around here when I posted it. So what I was looking at was an acceptance of this imbalance FEG here. Okay. So I look at the 4 hour for anyone's new to kind of my thesis. I look on the 4 hour quite a bit. 4 hours my kind of main time zone or time frame, sorry. Not time zone. FEG's imbalances on the 4 hour order blocks, a lot of it gets respected. You know, I use SMC, Smart Money Concepts. I use a bit of, well, I'm starting to learn ICT as well, liquidity grabs, stuff like that. So this is my thesis behind what's going to happen over the next couple of days. So the first trade I was in, for anyone that's not in my group as well, in my journal, sorry, I'll give you a bit of a sneak peek onto the trade I'm currently in. So this is the setup, but I'll explain why. So my first setup was this. So I was looking for a rejection of this order block. Okay, it was something like this. The trade. So I was looking for a rejection off this order block and a retest of the lows down here. Okay. Obviously, I did label this as a weak order block. I did know this was a weak order block. It just depended how aggressive the buying pressure was. If the buying pressure was aggressive, you know, I was expecting to push through this order block. But I put the trade in because I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. You know, if we did reject off here and we didn't push up to here, then I would have kicked myself. So I did go in there just in case we did reject, but we did push through. As I said, it is a weak order block. I know this because it's not at the highs, it's not at the lows. And it's just a quick tip as well. If you are using smart money concepts and you are looking at order blocks, anything below or anything in the middle region of a range is considered a weak order block or a weak area. We can still reject off it, like I was hoping for, but we can push through it as well, which does happen, which we did in this situation. So we saw a massive spike in today's price action, you know, which is okay. It's okay. We pushed through it, but this is the main area I'm looking for a short. So this is the trade I've just put in my journal. I've actually got in with a bit more size. I've put 2 risk on my journal, but I've actually gone in with a bit more size. I think I've got a 0.07 position size, so $50 stop loss, $100 day profit. That's pretty much the setup. So yeah, so I'm looking for a rejection off this strong order block here. If I just mark it on here so it's easier to see, looking for stop loss just above the order block region there, and then a test of 2R. So test this region here. Okay, we've got quite a few different support levels at this region, so yeah, we could see price continue down there. One thing to kind of look at, we do have an imbalance here that we formed, so we probably will retest this region. The probability of retesting this region is very high, and if we do get to this region, I probably will be offloading a bit of profit. Only probably 20%. Let the rest run. But yeah, the FEGs at the moment, the imbalances are getting filled quite regularly. So yeah, on the 4 hour, that is on the 4 hour. So that's my plan. I've got a limit order already set up. If you are an Apex member, you can see my journal set up. But if you're not, you've got a bit of a sneak peek here. I don't do this often, so if you want to get in this trade, you can. But yeah, so that's the current setup I'm looking for. Let's talk about what happens if we actually do break this setup and we do hit SL on this trade. So the monthly high. So I'm looking basically for a rejection off the monthly high. If we break the monthly high at 65.4k, the next region to look at for me is 60. Is well, another basically retest of the previous high, so 67, 67k. If we do hit 67k and we push through, then for me the bottom could be in. I've been saying for a long time I'm aiming for 70k. I don't know how many people were in my previous stream. I will go over it again just in case people missed it. I apologize for anyone that was in the previous stream. I will be talking about risk management after that, so I'll just go over it quickly. So the reason I'm aiming for 70k is because there's quite a few different confluences that are pointing in that direction. So if I look at this here, okay, so you've got one confluence with the 0.5 fib being at that range, and we've retested the 0.5 fib level on the way down from 125k quite often on these kind of rallies up. So this would be a region that's expected to be hit. In addition to that, we've got quite a large on the high time frame. Again, because we're looking at a long kind of period, we need to go further out on the high time frame. We do have a imbalance here. If I just mark out the imbalances on the way down from 125k, kind of gives you an idea of where is it? Okay, so this imbalance filled, this imbalance filled, this imbalance not filled yet. Okay, and to fill this imbalance, roughly to about a quarter of the FEG, we're looking about 70k. And if I mark out the fib retracement tool again, so this is it's in the FEG, it's in the imbalance. So this is the region I think we could hit, and if we do get to that region, I'll kind of assess it from there. But that's the thesis I'm looking for. That's if we break the monthly high. If we don't break the monthly high and we reject off it, then we could push straight back down to create lower lows and retest these lows at 62. Again, this range is very important. You've got monthly low, monthly high. If we break the monthly high, obviously doing what I just explained. If we break the monthly low, then we're just going to sweep this massive amount of liquidity down here. There's massive amounts of liquidity down here. Sweep these areas, then after that it's kind of no man's land back down to 58k, and then if that does happen, I think we bottom a lot sooner than people think. So yeah, that's a thesis on that. So risk management. How many people in the stream use strict risk management? Yossi, let me know. Milky, let me know what risk management you use, and what do you aim for with risk management? Do you aim for 1R, 2R, 3R, 4R? What do you use? 2 to 3R depending on setup. Right, okay. Yeah, I like that, Milky. So 1R. Okay, 1R. Okay. So I always stick to 2R. It's just a mindset that I just chose to have and just stick to it. In my eyes, if I can stick to a 2R and be on a 50% win rate, then I'm doubling my money. Okay. So if your win rate is going to be around 50%, 45, or give or take 5%, so 45% all the way to 55%. If you can be around that range and have a 2R and have a strict 2R risk to reward, you're going to double your money. So if you put in £500 or £1,000, you're going to end the month on 2,000. Okay. It's very simple. If you do go for 3R, the reason I don't go for 3R, this is just through back testing and future testing. Every time I go for 3R, I always get, not always, but quite a lot of the time, my trade doesn't hit full TP. And I just lose some profits off the table because it ends up dropping, and then I close the trade. I might close the trade at 2.1, or I might close it at 1.7, or 2R. It requires a bit more manual work. A 3R, a 3R really depends on the setup. If it's a really really nice setup and you can see price moving down, large amounts. If your target area is for example, let me use a use case here. So if we go back to 62 or 82k, this whole setup or this whole price movement up, I call it a staircase up, elevator down. Okay, so we had a massive staircase up. This complete when I looked at this, I just saw complete buildup of liquidity. Okay, and this was going to get swept at some point. And obviously, we were in May and we were forming highs at 82. So in midterm years, in the whole kind of macro environment, midterm year, we're only how many days into the bear market? Let's have a look. Okay, we're only 215 days into the bear market. Look at historical data. Bear markets last about a year, to 364 days. So because there were so many confluences indicating this was just a rally to fill this FEG here, my kind of thesis and confluence that we are going to go low was massive. I did have a trade pretty much near here at 81k or 81.5k, and I had a short. It was like this, and I did actually hit I think it was a 4R. Yeah, but that's the only kind of 4R I've hit. I hit another one recently, but that wasn't the confluences didn't add up as much as this one. This was a very certain trade. But yeah, I'd only do that if I've got high confluence and there's multiple confluences that support my thesis on the price action going a certain way. But yeah, if you do follow my journal, I do stick to 2R most of the time. As I said, simply because I know my win rate is around 45 to 55%. And if it is that, then you basically just double in your money. And if you can double your money consistently, that's how you become a full-time trader. Okay. So, Yossi, if you do 1R, fine. But for example, if you're me, just got a blank chart. Say you enter 10 trades. Say you enter 10 trades, right? And you win 10. Okay. And then let's say you've got a 50% win rate, which is, it's doable after practice. So you win 10. Let's set this out differently. So you win 10, and then you lose 10. Wow, I hate TradingView. I hate writing on TradingView. Okay, that equals 0R. If you're doing 1R risk, you return 0. One thing though, obviously, Yossi, your win rate will be higher. So your win rate will be a lot higher because obviously 1R is a lot easier to hit than 2R. But if I just explain this in a different way, so on a 2R setup, on this same win rate, you'll be up, if my maths is right, If I can work this out in my head, you'll be up 10R. Okay. Wait, Rolton, you're better at maths than I am. Just to confirm that's right. But that's basically the thesis. So, you know, if you win 10 and lose 10 on a 1R, you don't gain anything. You break even. On a 2R, if you win 10, lose 10, you double your money. 10R. Okay. Same goes, you know, if you let me put the win percentage next to this as well. So this is our 50% win rate. 50% win rate. 50% win rate. 3R. This won't be 30. Recent PA maybe. Yeah, Yozzy, exactly. You're right, bro. You're right. You know, the the harder the market is, obviously, you know, if you just want to if you want to practice and trade the markets and still learn about price actions, learn about setups, you know, you can go with 1R just so you break an even, just so you're learning and you're actually your psychology is getting tested. Because one thing about back testing is, you know, yes, you can test setups, but you're not testing the actual psychology behind trading. And if you've got real money up, you know, up for on the trade, your entries in and out can be a lot different. So it's a good way to test. It's a good way to test strategies on 1R. Um but yeah, I stick to 2. 2 for me is a happy medium. If you do have a higher win rate, um, you know, go for 3R. If your win rate is okay, this is a better way to kind of look at it. I apologize for the bad explanation. If your win rate is, I don't know, say you're getting better at trading and you get to a 65% win rate, right? And you're currently on a 1R strategy, and you're always hitting 1R. Say it's even 70%, right? Because your win rate will be up here if you're doing 1R, right? As soon as you start going for 2Rs, this is going to drop. But that's not a bad thing. Okay, that's not a bad thing. If you drop this to 50% win rate, but your risk to reward is now aiming for 2R, you're actually going to make more money. Okay. So the higher the risk to reward, um, the higher the risk to reward, the lower the win rate is. But as long as you're hitting that win rate of 50%, if you are aiming for 2R, then you're profitable. Yeah, I had back-to-back losses. That's another. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting back-to-back losses um, with 1R, then you just it's tough, man. It's tough. For every trade you lose, okay, this is another way of thinking about it. On 2R. Exactly, bro. Rolton said it perfectly, man. You know, you can back test and test a strategy as much as you want, you know, on demo accounts or whatever. As soon as you actually put your own money up there, the whole game changes. The whole game changes. Um, but yeah, for example, Yossi, if you win, you win one, right? You win one, you win 2, and then you lose 1, lose 2. Bear with me. Stay with me. Lose 3. Okay. Right. In a 1R setup, you'd be down 1R right now. And if you're risking, I don't know, $20 a trade, you'd be down $20 in this situation. Okay. But if you were going for 2R in the same situation and your win rate was a 50%, you'd be up. Because for every win, you're allowing for 2 losses. Okay? So you'd be currently at 1R if you were using a 2R strategy on this, and your win rate was 50%. So what I'd do, Yossi, to kind of reflect on where you are right now, look at your win rate. I hope you are tracking your journey. If you're not if you're not tracking your trades, then that's a starting point. I presume you are. If you are tracking your trades, look at your win rate. If your win rate is above 50%, or sorry, if it's between 50 and 70, go for 2R. If it's not yet at 50% or between 50 and 70, carry on at 1R until you hit the 70% win rate. As soon as you hit that 70% win rate, go to 2R and see how you get on. And that's the same for going higher as well. This is the kind of strategy. So if you start getting 70% win rate with 2R, you know, you're doing really well. At that point, you are very much a profitable trader. Go to 3R. Change to 3R risk to reward. Go to 3R, and then your win rate is going to come down. But if that comes down to 40%, you're very much still a very profitable trader. It goes on and on and on. You know, for example, get to 3R. So for example, this, right? You're now at 2R. You're now risking 2R, and you're at a 70% win rate. You think, right, I'm gonna try risk a bit more. I know my win rate's gonna come down, but as long as it doesn't come down, you know, to less than 40%, maybe 35 to 40%, then you know you're profitable. Yeah, Yosi, I've got one in my journal. It should be at the top somewhere. But yeah, I've already made one. If people need one, and if people need me to send you it, just let me know. I'll DM you. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. If it hasn't, then yeah, I'll share it. If it hasn't, then just let me know. I can go through it in DMs if people need personal, kind of like a personal support. Yeah, let me find it. I'll DM it, Milky. I'll send it on DMs. But yeah, that's pretty much me done, boys. Again, I've explained my thesis. I'm looking for a short at this order block. If we do push above the monthly high, then I'm looking for a retest of these levels, eventually with a retest at 67k. And then watch this area. If we do push above that, 70k. If we do reject off this,